So, as Jonathan said, today what I'd like to do is to show you what Twinmotion is about. I'll talk to you about how you access Twinmotion. I will say at the outset, if you're an Autodesk customer with the AEC Collection, you already have access to it. What you can see running in the background is an output from Twinmotion, and basically Twinmotion aggregates data and whilst people think it's all for architects and for high-end visualizers, it's actually very easy to use and it's quite scalable. So it's very much for civil engineering infrastructure groups. So what I'd like to do is focus on what you need to do to get information into Twinmotion and then spend time showing you what Twinmotion's all about and why you should get your hands on it and up the ante on how you present and communicate with your customers. So, first thing is why Twinmotion? Ignore the fact you can see a video on the left, but basically Twinmotion will take your design, whether that's done in Civil 3D or it's done with Civi Site Design, whether it's done elsewhere, it'll take model data and basically process that data into a full visualization, real-time rendering experience. So it's really about upping the game and providing people with a higher level of communication than you've ever been able to give them before in terms of realism, in terms of real exploration of the model. As I did say, the beauty of Twinmotion is that it's very scalable. It's using the latest of graphics, rendering on demand, real-time rendering. It does suit civil projects because it is scalable and simple to use. It's easy to add to the scene, so you'll see vehicles and bikes and light poles and all that sort of stuff we'll be adding to the scene because we're going to build from scratch. So we can talk you through how easy that is. And I do say it's a low learning curve. Look, I'll introduce you to the interface. As long as you understand what each sort of area is about, you will find it's a very simple, addressable area to get into. So that's what it is. Why would you use it? It's to enhance the user experience and to get them to understand and buy into what it is you've designed or you're working on. Um, at the end of the day, it's a big data aggregator. So essentially, what it does is it takes information from modeling systems, and you can do that with a direct link. So a lot of software has built-in direct connections to Twinmotion, or you can do the traditional importing of files. When you do that, basically it builds a scene with the data, and then you'll have access to the objects, meshes, and other entities that have been brought in. Autodesk is certainly on board with this. As it did say, the AEC collection includes entitlement to Twinmotion. They call it Twinmotion for Revit, but it's really Twinmotion for everybody. And Autodesk have Revit, Navisworks, 3ds Max able to create, I guess, direct files to go into Twinmotion. I have noted other notable 3D rendering systems that can also directly connect. On the import front, you can pull in a raft of 3D geometry files. I've highlighted three key ones that are quite prominent in industry. FBX, which is Autodesk's version of a 3D model, SKP, which comes from SketchUp, and then the good old OBJ. Twinmotion will accept geometry, animation, landscaping, and point clouds. So obviously, there's file formats for each of those. Now, features. There's a ton of features in the software. At the end of the day, it's all about building scenes. So it's easy for you to drag and drop materials across. So if you bring something in that's fairly raw and doesn't have materials coming from your model, it's easy to drag and drop onto the meshes. It does include access to thousands of assets. That's people, animal, trees, vehicles, rocks, lighting. You could certainly make your own, but there's a massive library there for you to get information from. It's easy for you to animate in the scene. I'll show you how quick and simple that is. Obviously, there's environmental factors. So daytime, nighttime, location of the sun, rain, the seasons are all catered for. And I won't be showing it today, but certainly it supports phasing, clipping as well. So you can certainly phase in changes over time and deal with if you wanted to slice and dice the model and expose certain bits, you could clip. In terms of those direct connections, this is just some screenshots because I'm obviously not going to go through the Revit side of things. So I want to focus on the civil engineering side driven from Civil 3D. But Twinmotion, you'll see that there's a direct link there. And the beauty of a data connection is that you can then synchronize directly from your authoring software. Civil 3D, the journey for Civil 3D we recommend is you create a InfraWorks export from Civil 3D, you bring it into InfraWorks, and then you'll go to the output, hit this button, and then make the FBX file. So that's sort of the passage if you're using straight Civil 3D, and then obviously I showed you what Revit would be about. Today, I'll talk about today in a moment. Just in terms of that the access points, as I did say for the third time now, it is included with the AEC collection. If you are a Revit user, it is also included with Revit. So you pay nothing to have Twinmotion in that case. Twinmotion have a very interesting pricing model. We look at their website, it's free for individuals and small businesses with less than $1 million USD revenue, free to education students. In terms of the paid version, it's not terribly expensive. I can't confirm if that's USD or Australian dollars, but that's sort of the price per seat per year if you run a business over $1 million. So that's sort of how you get access to Twinmotion. Today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be leveraging a real life design from Tweedshire Council. So firstly, thank you to Tweedshire Council for providing us access to this data set. It is a completed roundabout design. Basically, they're building a roundabout for some new subdivision that's being built. They're realigning Crescent Street, which comes in at quite an acute angle to Tweed Coast Road. And this was designed with Civi Site Design and Civil 3D. So I'm going to start by opening that data set up, just very quickly talk to you about that, and then show you how easy it is to move model information into Twinmotion. So demonstration time. So I will drop this PowerPoint out for the moment. We'll come back to that. But this is us starting at the start point. So we have some design created. So there's some terrain data sitting here. What I have done in my case is I've leveraged satellite surface to basically build an expansion of terrain outside of the design area. So this is the design area. There's also some feature survey in here, but basically I've used satellite surface to build a big area and then pasted them together. The detailed design is right in here. And as it did say, it's complete. We've used polylines to do some line marking. We've used obviously the materials out of our design for also the base. You'll see there's also a couple of polylines here for buildings. So how does that represent through Civil Site Design? Well, if I pull up Model Viewer, this is where we're at with Model Viewer. I guess the work you do in Model Viewer reduces the work you'll do in Twinmotion, but basically this has combined together. I can't speak to that. That's thanks to Google. That mound there could be real, could be fake. But basically there's a design completed here. Line marking has been added through those polylines. There's also been some signs included. So when we write this out, we'll be writing it out as an OBJ, and that OBJ file will include all the material rendering that's here and also all the objects. Okay, so the process, once you have a model and you're happy with sort of the shape of it, is you'll go to Outputs, Export, if you're using Civil Site Design, you write it as an OBJ. So I'll call this TSC. I'll put it here. So this will take a minute or so to output. While that's doing its business, I'm going to flip over to Twinmotion. So when you start up Twinmotion, this is what you'll see, a splash screen with the welcome. And to get started, all you really need to do is to create a new scene. So this will create a scene, and there'll be a couple of objects in here, but very easy to change. So I'm going to talk to you about the interface. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how you navigate in here. And then what we're going to do is pull in that data and show you how quickly we can go ahead and build. So when it comes to navigation, when you look at Twinmotion, what you'll see on the left is what they call the library. This is where all your assets are. So if you go into vegetation, you'll see there's a bundle of trees you can grab. You go back into materials, you'll see there's material rendering that you can apply. So you can basically drag and drop materials onto any of these meshes and change them out. So maybe what I'll do is I'll grab these stones, throw it on the base here. It is very quick to render, very quick to adjust. If you want to edit a material, you can also do that. But what I wanted to do first is talk about the library. In this mid area, I'll talk to you about navigation in a moment. On the right-hand side is two elements. One is the properties of whatever you've selected or are working with, about to create. And above that is what they call the scene. And the scene has ambience or ambience, depending on how you want to talk about that. But basically, this controls time of day. It controls the north direction. You can bring in, I guess, a dome. That's what the HDRI is about. I won't do that today. If we have a look further down under sky, you can pull in some clouds. You can play around with the seasons, which I'll come back to. There's wind and fog. So it's quite an expensive toolkit here. I guess I've gone volumetric here, so I get to play with the heights and muck around a little bit more. A little bit further down, you'll see that you can bring in fog. So look, what I wanted to sort of express here is that it's quite a deep visual experience, and it's very easy to make very realistic pushes on this. If I throw in some ocean, the job that we're working on is actually next to the ocean. So this is us with a meter of water, and then I can sort of slide that water around and push it about. So what I'm going to do is set the ocean at minus 0.25, and we'll sort of come back to that. But you'll see that you can, I guess, establish in some basics. This will put something in the horizon, so you can basically put a cityscape in the background or something else. So that's, I guess, the general feel of how things work. But when you click on something, whether it's an object in the drawing, whether it's something on the right, you are then going to see the properties of that object. Now that clicking on an object leads me to what the scene is about. You'll see that within a scene there are groups, and within each group there are every object is listed. So this is your database, and you can click here and zoom, which is a very common way to get your zoom back. You can also click here to select something to edit. So I now have an object selected for editing, and you can see the grips. So to zoom in, you can roll your middle mouse. You can use your keyboard, the W, S, A, and D, forward, back, left, and right, and then Q and E for up and down. I'm not so good with that. I use the forward and back keyboard keys, and then the middle mouse will pan. Left mouse will select as well as orbit around the object. And the right mouse button is a look around tool. Okay, so that's sort of how that works. But when you select an object and you want to change it, you'll see that there's controls here that you can grab. So I'm rotating the object. I can also grab this and drag it up and type in a value. If you don't want to move and you instead want to purely rotate, up the top here, sort of the actions on an object. So I can go and click here and I can do a bit of an earth rotation there, and then start spinning it around. So this gives me 3D rotation. If I click on this icon, then I've got scaling capability. So you can scale the whole object by dragging in the middle, and you can differentially scale by dragging one of the edges. So I now have an egg. If I want to change the materials for that object, I can click on this icon here. And what that does is allows me to pick an object, and then I can start playing around with the way the material is rendered on that object. Okay, I'm not going to do anything here, but I'm definitely going to play around with the grunge to dirty up my asphalt once I get into the model. So anyway, that's the interface. Except I haven't spoken about the bits down the bottom. So these are sort of major additions. So well, one thing I should say is if you find an object in the library, let's say we find a bollard, you can just click on an object in here and drop it in. Okay, so you can drag and drop objects. But if you want to create objects en masse, you go with Populate. If you wanted to play around with your materials in the drawing, you go materials. If you want to import and export. So these are sort of your main overriding controls down the bottom here. Okay, to start afresh, what I really want to do is to highlight everything that's in this scene and delete it. Okay, so this is my clean skin run. And I'm going to go to import. We're going to pull in that model that we've outputted from, in this case, Civi Site Design. So if I just go and hunt for that, we'll pull that in. The only thing I will say is that the OBJ is in centimeters, so do have the conversion at 100, but this will bring in everything in metric, and then we can go and kick on. So we'll take a minute to come in, but once it's in, you'll see it's quite live and we can start navigating around.
We did have one question come in, Shane, just while that's loading up about minimum requirements, which there is a dedicated web page for that, and I've put a link for that in the Q&A session, Q&A panel, folks. So if you do want to know about minimum or sort of high performance requirements, then have a look at that. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm not concerned because I have a laptop that is basically a gaming machine, so uh, I'm set. But a good graphics card undoubtedly would be highly prized. So when it comes to navigating here, if you can click on an object, you can just right click and then zoom to it. Quickest way to sort of navigate around. There is a speed on your zoom, so it's a bit odd, but the keyboard 1 to 5 will set the speed of zooming. So if you change your number to 5, you'll be zooming and panning really, zooming in and out really quick. And if you leave it at 1, you'll be doing very fine moves. But you can see here all the data's here. Images have been rendered on objects, and I'm ready to start enhancing this environment. So just in terms of materials, if I click on the asphalt, I can see that I've selected that. I can start grunging that up. So what that does is it sort of dirties it up so it's not so homogeneous and makes it look a little bit more realistic. If I decided I didn't like that material, I could go to materials. I can just type up here asphalt, and I can just drag and drop a change, right? So if you don't like a material, you can definitely drag and drop to make changes. So what I will do is continue that. There is a 3D grass option. So each of these are meshes. I'm just going to drag the 3D grass on here. So we've now got 3D grass in the system. That's probably when I should change my zoom scale from 5 down to something less. But it's very easy to pull in materials. 3D grass obviously is great because it's got a little bit of push and shove on it, right? A little bit of verticality. So we're going to start adding to this scene, right? We're going to start building it out so that it feels more realistic, more in the flavor of what's actually happening on the ground. So what we're going to do is just start dropping in objects. So I'm just going to show you how that works. So I'm going to go to the library, I'm going to go to vegetation and trees, and I'm going to drop in an Austrian, not Australian. Let's go Australian. Let's see what's there. There we go. Got, oh well, Celtis australis. Well, European nettle tree. Let's drop that in. So when you grab an object, I just dropped one in the bad spot. Um, it'll drop in. Just before I do that, it's probably good that I've half caught myself. You'll see that in the scene, things are grouped. So all those objects that we basically brought in are grouped. You can absolutely make more containers, right? And I highly recommend this. I'm going to call this one vegetation because you can then turn everything off and everything on that's in a container, right? So rather than trying to find individual objects, turn them on and off, you can turn on and off by group, right? Within that group. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this tree and I'm just going to drag it in and drop it in the model. I think it's gone way up there, really where I wanted it. So I'm just going to reposition myself and drop my tree really going where I want it to go. Let's go. Okay. So what I will say is that there are items that you download, and this is a tree to download. I'm not going to bother downloading anything. I'll just grab what's here. So today it's an Austrian pine, not Australian pine. But you'll see that we've dropped that object in. It's easy to rotate that. It's easy to use the scale option and scale it. And if you want to scale it with a number value, you just type in here what you want to do. If you want to copy them, if you hold down Shift and then drag, if you hold down Shift and then drag an object, normally what happens is you'll get a copy, but I think I need to be on move for that. No, it's just doing a move. You can certainly copy objects though. So that's me dropping in individual objects. So you can go to any part of the library. You can just type in something like a seat. Let's grab outdoor type seat. You can, drop that in, or concrete bench will do. Let's drop in a concrete bench. Oh no, I don't want to download it. If I go to, if we look at the groups, if I go into objects and city furniture, benches, bollards, fountains, let's go for a bench. I'm going to drag lily bench over here in this area, right? And then I'm going to rotate. So I've now got a sort of bench in place. So I guess I'm highlighting here how you work with materials. If we wanted to, I guess, get the rotation of that better, we want to rotate it a bit that way, maybe lift it up as well. So it's easy for you to, I guess, reposition that stuff. Let's put some people in here. So I'll go to library, objects, city, no, I went too far. Library, characters. Let's grab a group of people and we'll just sort of drop them in here. Partly in the way, partly on the footpath. We can rotate them around. So when we have a look at these groups, you can see that Lily, which is the chair, the Australian pine. Now I didn't put them inside their groups, which I should have. I'm going to grab these two and I'm going to put them in a new container called people and stuff. So what this will let me do is to, quickly turn them on and off as a collective. Now, when you click on objects, you can grab the group. You can also grab individuals and rotate them around. So I don't know why he's talking to nobody, but that's what he's up for. So this is one way to add features, add information into the system. To do this sort of more broad brush changes, we're going to have a look at the Populate tools, right? So you can drag and drop individuals. You can change their size, position, rotation. If I want to do things on mass, I go to Populate. Okay, so you see down here, there's Populate. and it opens up into the properties area. And there's three different ways to populate. You can place objects, draw paths. The urban is really interesting, and what it attempts to do is to pull stuff from OpenStreetMaps. So you'll get buildings and things out of there. But what I'm going to do is use place. So we are going to draw an area and do some planting in this area. Now, what's cool about that is when you start running an area, it says drop assets here. So if I go to vegetation and trees, I'll drop in, I won't drop in big trees because I'm coming around here. So I'm going to drop in bushes, and I'm going to, let me restart that. Shane got too excited and clicked on things. Let's go place, area. Okay, so I'm dropping in here different types of bushes that I'd like to surround the tree with, right? So I'm just grabbing different types of bushes, whatever collection I want. So in here, I just sketch out an area. It's obviously easy to grab those circular grips and change them. You grab a square grip, you'll add more options or controls in there. I can see I got one in the wrong spot, so I'll click on that, pull that over here. So, what do I want to do with this? Obviously want it to be a bit tighter, right? So you see under scattering, I can change the spacing. I can randomize that differently. I can change the probability that a space is going to get picked up by an object. And I can obviously play around with scales and other aspects, right? So again, high level of realism. As we sort of go in, we'll see that they sway in the wind. Obviously, I can change the wind around. So let's add some more with a couple of different techniques so we can see sort of how that works. So I'm going to go propagate again. This time I'm going to go place, but I'm going to use the paint option. The paint's cool because it's got like this sort of radius and you can just drag around. So again, I'm going to throw in some vegetation. I'm going to throw in a variety of trees. And I'll also throw in a couple of bushes. You can double these up to sort of increase the probability that you'll have some over others if you want to sort of skew the results. But this is really easy, right? You just drag around to paint the zones that you want. I'll show you what happens if you make a mistake. But here I am just sort of painting around here. And sort of fill this up. Now this I would do with area rather than this method. And I'll do some over here to pick up sort of what's going on out here. If you want to, I guess, carve a hole in that group, if you actually click on the object, you'll see it's all one nested object, but down here is an eraser button, right? So I can erase trees through the guts. If I want to add more, I can click on the add and use that same sort of themed control to add more vegetation. Okay, so you can see that's certainly added a lot to the feel of that scene. You can certainly add grass and other objects. I would do that with area as well. So you could do that sort of area painting, same sort of technique. Again, what I should have done is put this into a group, people and stuff, and then vegetation. So I'm just going to throw that area in there so I don't lose track of what that is. Painted vegetation as well. So under this group, I might have got that drag wrong, but anyway, we get the picture. So I'm going to go populate, just show you another technique for adding objects. So we're going to add a line of trees through here. So you'll see that there's a spacing option. And what spacing's all about is that you can, I guess, run objects along a feature with regular or irregular spacing. Just be careful when you run it out that you don't click on the object. You just want to drag it in. So in this case, I start sketching in a path. Press escape to finish, and then I'll get objects along that path. Okay, and then I've got different controls to manage how that's positioned by count or by distance. If we have a look at some other populate options, because these are the most prominent things that you will use. Obviously, I'll show you some cool other stuff, but propagate will allow you to quickly sort of add the realism and the set the scene in here. So if we have a look at paths, under paths you can roll characters, bicycles, and vehicles. So if I just click on character first, and I'll sort of run them along this footpath. Character, it works very similarly to what we just did with area and what we just did with the scatter path. You see, I've got them off the path. I'll put them on the path in a moment. So having set up that pathway, you can see the people wandering along. You can pick and choose what races are included. You can also go ahead and change the reason that they're there, for the office, for travel, for beach. The density obviously will set up how many run along that. And don't be afraid of editing, right? Because it's quite live, quite dynamic. You can very quickly and easily grab those little grips there, grab the little pluses, and go and change the pathways. So that's people, cars and bicycles work pretty much the same. Now, what I won't be covering today is phasing, but certainly you could use phasing and animation controls to get some changes happening in this system. But what I'm going to do is just run some vehicles. They will just continue running. So I'm going to go populate, paths, we'll go vehicles. So what I'm going to do is run some vehicles down through here. So I'm going to start at the start. Pretty rough view up here, but I will tidy it up once we get in. Now you'll notice I'm generally running across the center line, okay, not the left and right edge, and I'll show you why. So I now have vehicles in here. They'll be running along there. If we have a look at our options, I'll just shift that out a bit. I've got a lane count, so I can just type the number or drag it out. But if I put in two, they'll sort of run alongside each other, which is exactly what I want them to do. You can do a lane offset and push them away from each other. You'll see that they shuffle out and back in. And you can see that you can obviously play with the speed, reverse the direction. We're in America, another country, doesn't drive on the left. But you can see that it's really easy for you to push around and make changes. Now we'll run a cyclist along the system as well. So we might run a cyclist on the opposite side of the road. So as I did say, I think at the outset, I'm not amazing at navigation. Have I said that? I should have. So what we'll do is we'll run a cyclist down road here. So I guess we'll just start them down at this area. So we just run populate again. We go bicycle. I'll start here. Bicyclist is an adult, so they'll go out on the road and risk life and limb. We'll just roll them out around here. So you'll see that we'll get bicyclists in the scene as well. Okay, so that's sort of the main sort of things about Populate. What I will say is the custom option is cool. So we're going to run a path along the whole site here. It's going to sort of run a path we'll sort of roll down through here. And what I'm going to do with that path is I'm going to lift that path up. Yeah, 50 meters is good. And when you run a path, for a custom path, you obviously drag and drop what you want to drop in there. You see a little box running through there. The box is not what I want. What I do want is I'm just going to work out how to spell balloon and I'll be right. No. It is under library, under vehicles, aircraft. I'm going to run this hot air balloon. Right. So now what we've got is a hot air balloon. Obviously, based on the time of day, that hot air balloon will cast shadow across that system as well. So now there's not a lot of shadows going on based on the time of day. Let's just start rolling that around. There's our hot air balloon coming over now, coming in hot. Yeah, it's pretty vertical sort of run. We can see that air balloon as a shadow. If we have a look high, we can sort of see it through the water up there. Now, why did I do the water? If we actually have a look, there is there is ocean out here, and B, there is an area that is below zero. So that is automatically picking up a lake, right? Natural lake, because it's below zero, so automatically underwater. So you can just continue on like this. You can continue adding. So, you might want to throw in some rocks or something. So vegetation, rocks, throw in a few rocks around here. Obviously, you've got the option to spray. If I just try and work out this for me, if I pick an object, hold down shift and drag it. Yeah, so you can see I'm getting a duplicate here. And the cool thing is you can then say how many, and then it sort of duplicates them around. Okay, so we've got a little bit of activity going on here. What I'm going to do now is show you a couple other things. So if we have a look in the library, there's these things called decals under objects, and they're really useful. So a decal is great for line marking. It's great for putting graffiti on walls. It's almost like a painting tool. It's a little bit better than that. So I'm going to basically pop a zebra crossing in. So one of the things to know about the decals is that they have a depth, and you really want to increase the depth when you go and stretch them out, right? Or when you go and copy them. So I might just try and use my shift here and copy, and I'll do 5 of those. So setting a depth is important for when you rotate. But if we ever think about the decals, cheap and cheerful, you can put in some marking here for a bus. You'll see about the depth here when I rotate this object, right? So if I find that bus down here, bus marking, rotate that, you'll see it starts to disappear. You do need to increase the depth as sort of cut through. But the decals include more because you've also got access to a whole raft of stuff. Shadows, some dead leaves. So we could, well, let's go to ambience. Let's go to ambience and change a couple of things. Firstly, let's make it an awful windy. Windy's all right. Don't care about the wind. Let's make it an awful rainy day. And then what we'll also do is we'll have a look at the seasons. Let's roll into autumn here, snow. That's not snow, that's not seasons, this is seasons here. Let's run into the seasons, right? So we now have some trees that are barren because they're not evergreens, but we could now throw in some dead leaves around that, right? So this is when I'd be much smarter to use an array and area propagation. But you'll see now we've got some dead leaves lying around. Obviously, that's irrelevant when I change the season back. But yeah, the decals are really cool because they're easy just to drop onto, I guess, the existing ground. There are some manholes, there are some air vents, so you can throw in cracks and stains. You can put a permanent puddle here for highlighting a low point to somebody. Throw in a manhole, say here in the footpath. Just increase the depth of that manhole. Where's the depth? Zing. We should see it in there now. Yeah, so people are walking over that manhole like it's not there, which is how it should be. Okay, so we'll get rid of our rainy day. Make it nice and sunny. It's a happy day today. And so I've talked to you about dropping in characters using the library. We've talked about propagation, how useful that is to quickly build out the scene. We've just had a look at animating along with paths. There are some other cool tools in the library, so I'll just point some out. If you have a look, there's objects we did have a look at, but under here there's water controls, so you can drop in cylinders of water. If you have a look at particles, then you could throw in fire, fog, smoke. So if I drop a fire in here, maybe I'll drop in some fog, small fog sitting around here. Maybe I'll drop in, oh, confetti would be fun. But it'll probably do. So when we have a bit of a look around here, we can see that there's a fire burning, and there's a little bit of fog in our way here. So library is really valuable. You should certainly have a play around in there. One absolutely fantastic item that is easy not to find is under tools. You can add notes, but this is also where you do your sectioning. So you might want to section out sections, cut the buildings and that sort of stuff. You can put in permanent measurements, and this is where the animator controls are. But if I go to notes, I'm just going to drop a note in here, drag and drop. I'll set the rotation of that. And I'm just going to declare this to be, so in the settings here on the right, this is Tweed Coast Road. This is Tree 2 Roundabouts. Obviously, we could play around with sizes and positioning. What I will do is just lift that up. But you can certainly add documentation in the scene directly, able to spin around and look at. Okay, so let's have a talk about the I guess the tail end of this part of the process, right? So we can see that we can change the time of day anywhere we like and whenever we like. We can see that we can add information. If we have a look at media, media is where you decide the things that you'd like to publish. So I would really love a screenshot right here. So if I'm in the screenshot option, I then just click on the plus, and I've now set up that I'd love a high resolution image there, right? I'd also like to get an image around here where this fire is happening, right, and where the fog is. So again, I can click on the plus, and I'm just preparing the system to create my outputs, right? So I'm not actually making the outputs here. I'm just preparing the system for the outputs that I'd like potentially to have. You can also set up your own videos. So you'll see that second one there is about videos. So videos work on the basis that you'll create the video, and that video has an overall time. So I'll leave it at 10 seconds. But it's just like what you'd hope for. You basically pick up keyframes. So you'll click on this plus, and that will basically do a transition. So let's just reposition to here. Let's go plus again. And then we might just zoom in, get down low, get really in amongst this traffic. You can click on the play button. You can sort of see how quickly that's going to run, how it's going to look. If you sort of want to stop and start, what I'd recommend is that you click on this plus at the end and you, I guess, append another video, right? Or add what's called a keyframe. So if you add a keyframe, maybe then what I'll do is probably shouldn't have repositioned. Let's just click back here. I'll look down the road. So yeah, so anyway, you can basically, sorry, I should have done that. Add another video part. That's what I should have done. I had another video parts. Let's just delete that. So I'm just going to add another video part. For that video part, we'll start here, and then we'll look around. And you then just click on that plus. All right, so I'll make this last 1 second. Make this last 5 seconds, right? So I'll speed up. I will speed it up. So we have a shorter video. Okay, so as well as doing screenshots of videos, you can use this tool to create sequences. So if you read what it says, time-based cinematic sequences, animated files. There are objects you can bring in that are animated. But the cars are obviously doing their thing. If you click on panorama, this will give you a 360-degree, basically a JPEG, and then you could bring it into, there are some free online viewers where you could then drag it in there and do a full 360-degree panoramic. If we click on the person, this will actually allow you to include images, panoramas, and then you can export them out as an executable file. So it's actually really useful to give somebody an exe file that they've then got the images and the panoramas and the videos, right? So if I did this, and maybe I'll do it at the end and share it to you who have attended, right? I can do this and send you a zip file. You unzip it, you run the exe. You'll then be basically in a Twinmotion viewer, right? So it'll install basically the viewer and also then open up the scenes. So maybe I'll do that at the end and I'll share it back. So that that would happen through this presentation button, and then all you do in the presentation button is you grab the media that you've already made, and they're basically bundled in, right? Just drag that in, and then that's going to go into a media collection. This one here will allow you to do phasing, and this last one is about configuration based on visibility, materials, properties. One thing to just say about the video is that you do have the option in the video at any frame to change the time of day. So when you're at a video frame, you can change the time of day. So maybe here I'll change it. I'll change it to here. I'll do the same for here, but you could also be changing the weather conditions and the rest. So how does that look as a video? Play it through. It's really quick. It stops here for a while because I've added too many frames and then looks to the right. Let's make this a little bit slower. Okay, so that's the preparation. Export is your publication. So it's interesting the way they've done it, but basically what you do is you'll then grab images you'd like to push out as, full fidelity images, and videos you'd like to publish, right? So it's then going to publish those two items at the same time. You see it's MP4, 30 frame rate. You can obviously increase that and wait a bit longer. If you had panoramas, you could publish those. And I won't do this now, but I could also package up a presentation, right? A single exe file that you can run. Then when I run start export, then it will go through and start building out that output. That's probably what I need to get to. Let me just start that export and I'll just dump it in. I'll make a subfolder here just to make sure I get the ones that I've created. Okay, so while that's going on, let me just try and find an output I did before the session starts. Give me one moment if I can remember where it is. No, I've dumped it in a weird spot. I will share with you the presentation outcome. But Jonathan?
Yeah, just got a couple of questions actually, maybe while we're waiting, which is not bad. I've got 7 hours to kill, 1 hour to kill. Brilliant.
Like that,
Shall
yeah. I freaked out. It was 57 hours for me, but it ended up being 20 minutes. So
Excellent, excellent. Well, look, just a couple of actually, two good questions actually. The first one is if design changes are made to the original design, what does
I
that
should have
mean?
I should have spoken about that. What does it mean? If you go back to the import tab, there's actually an option. There's a refresh button on it. So anything you import, you can basically click the refresh button and it rereads the imported file.
Brilliant. That's great. That's great to know. The other one was just more of a visual thing, and I've done a little bit of research at my end as regards to how you can turn this on and off quickly. But the visual aids that you've got, or the path markers that you've got going on the screen, what's the quickest or easiest ways to have those just sort of turned off, just sort of to give yourself a nice clean visual while you're working in there? My
We're
understanding
not
is you can press G on your keyboard. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not suggesting that's the answer, but apparently that could be a keyboard shortcut to turn those on and off.
very good. Good. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you very much. I've been educated. I have
Either that or you using the scene options to do that. But yeah, the helpers I believe can be turned on and off with G unless you know of other ways to do it.
Look, I'm going to hit G as soon as this is published. Yeah.
It's probably a good opportunity to say if anybody else has got any other questions to pop them in now. Just while we went for the export, we've got an hour and a minute and
A minute.
25 seconds to
We
kill.
went from over an hour, so we're doing well.
Um,
Look, I might just pop the slideshow up for my final slide, but then we'll come back to the model. So while people are peppering in their questions, why visualize? Shared understanding for non-technical people. It makes it easy for them to understand what's going on. It can assist in planning, and it's certainly going to help you, I guess, engage with your customers. So certainly, if you're a council, it's about communication, and if you have an end client, it's about marketing yourself and also showing them what they're going to get. So hopefully, you can see Twinmotion's low investment. I mean, I've done this all on my computer. There's no water-cooled computer sitting somewhere else. There's no farming. This is all just done on the one machine. But it does not take long to take a model that you've built and expand that out and really sort of show off a high fidelity output from that. And then my next slide was questions. So if any other questions come in, Jonathan?
yeah, there's no other questions at the moment, Shane.
Okay. So under my output, two things. One is an image. So there's my high quality image. And then when we have a look at video, Here's my video run. So yes, I was a bit quick, but we can see the quality of that video. And yes, I finished a bit abruptly, but uh, sort of a quick output in a short period of time.
It's interesting how the vehicles are all being driven on the left-hand side of the vehicle. So there's not is there sort of a country kit or anything like that, which with regards to the assets where you can have them localized, or are they just a generic list of assets or
Look,
library items?
got the power to bring in stuff, but
Yeah.
I'd have to explore some more. You can download additional resources, so potentially you could get to a driver on a different side of the road.
It's semantics because at the end of the day, it's probably more the focal point is the vehicle and how it's tracking around there from a visual perspective. But the speed at which you're able to develop that presentate or that whole view, even to get the animation in within that very short time frame. And I expect once you become quite proficient at it, and you're not, you're obviously educating our audience at the same time. The speed at which you could create that would be quite significant. I would say.
Yeah, the intention is that you can get a quick bang for buck out of this.
Yeah. Do you want to just check that the path or the help path with the G? Can we just see if that was actually a thing in the end?
Absolutely. Got distracted with the
That's
wonders
okay.
of
It looks great.
G.
There you go.
Woo! Mark
Fantastic.
Cleaner. G, 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 G. Fix.
Yeah, you can see why actually.
Yeah,
I can understand those getting a little bit distracting after a while. So to have those turned on and off would be ideal. So it's a great. I'm sure there's probably a whole suite of keyboard shortcuts that you could utilize with this.
yeah, yep, yep, yep. Okay. Well, look, I'm going to bring up our finishing slide, and
Just before we do that, I've got one other question.
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So just to clarify, what what if design changes is made? So do you want to
So
just double? Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
click on import. You'll find your files there, and all you need to do is click on that button
Yeah.
right there. You'll see under here other options, but essentially you just hit that and you'll refresh the data. What I will say about that is if you let it reassign the materials in particular, obviously that 3D grass will get replaced with the materials that came from the file. Okay, but yeah, it will update the I can't believe these people aren't more freaked out about the fire.
Hmm.
Yeah, it will just update all the geometry.
Couple of questions sort of tying in. One of them was whether or not you can sort of, I guess this would be a preset library, or I would see it as a customized library to apply design. So you're at the moment you're obviously going through that library and cherry picking, see what's there as standard. But can you, in some respects, have presets, favorites, customization, that kind of thing?
Yeah, there is a user library, so
There we
you
go.
can add whatever you like in there. Yeah. So whatever you use regularly, you would pop in there. Uh, if we go back to slide 3, you can basically pull in extra stuff in those sorts of formats. So you should be able to add your own. A lot of people actually go and use Sketchfab and you pull in through there. But if you can create SketchUp files, you could start leveraging those in as well.
Last question, it sort of comes onto that, it gets to that point I spoke about localization, road signage. Where is it actually coming? That's obviously within Twinmotion. It's not Civil 3D that signage is coming from. So yeah,
Signage,
anything
this signage you see here has come from building the model in Civil Site Design,
civil
right?
side. Yeah,
However, if we
doing the
go
OBJ.
into objects and city furniture, there are signs, but they they tend to be more European
Yeah,
type signs
yeah, I
rather than
certainly recognize that one. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, you would with with your accent, yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, look, I think we've addressed all the questions. So yeah, Shane, I'll get you to pop up that last slide. Thanks for your attendance today, everybody. Just if you can hold on just for a few seconds, just as we finish off, there is a webinar survey that pops up on your web browser when you end or leave the session. If you don't want to wait for that, you can just simply use the QR code on screen to let us know what you think about the webinar, give us any constructive feedback and any thoughts on future webinars. There is a webinar almost nearly once a week now, presented by one of our team. I'll be presenting next week, Civil Site Design version 26.2. For those of you that missed it, it got released at the very end of last year. And I expect for most of you, you probably maybe haven't had a chance to really have a look at what's in it. So I'll be presenting that next week, same time, next Thursday. And yeah, look forward to seeing you having your attendance for that. The recording will be on the Civil Survey Solutions YouTube channel. And if you want to get hold of that recording, normally it's up there within about 24 hours. So have a look at that, or 48 hours, which does put us into Saturday, which definitely won't happen. It'll be by the end of tomorrow. But yeah, have a look at the YouTube channel if you want to watch the recording of this, and jump in and have a look at what we did.